Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show where we talk to authors about their books. By the way, so many of our guests are authors, or they're writing and writing and writing, trying to figure out what the next step is. How do you stop writing? How do you get it published? How do you promote the book? So we like to bring people on the show who've done it or who are doing it, who are going through the struggles. And our next guest, Tim Scott, he has published 2 books, self-published, and now he's trying to get to the next step. And I want to ask him about the books and the process and stuff like that. Welcome, Tim Scott.
How are you, Mike?
Yeah, and you have two great books out, and you've struggled through getting them out. I mean, you went through the process. You wrote the books, you finished writing, you got them published. And by the way, here's the most recent. I think it's called Driving Toward Destiny is the first one, right?
Right.
And it's a guy riding a motorcycle somewhere toward destiny, no doubt. And then
in Europe.
In Europe, or the one that most recently came out is Destiny Uncharted. Now he's moved up to a Jeep apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tell us about the books, or what you want to tell us about the books.
Well, the first book was a story of the motorcycle ride I took from Berlin to the South Shore of Crete, and then back up into France. Mm-hmm. That was during 1972 while I was waiting for the draft to tell me what my fate was going to be in life. And so the book went through all of the process, the angst I was going through, and it's a coming-of-age novel.
Yeah.
At age 22 or 23, it may be a little late for a coming-of-age novel, but not really, I don't think. You still have to go through the process. So that's what that book is about. The motorcycle ride was an amazing experience, of course.
Yeah.
I never owned a big motorcycle. This was a BMW motorcycle. And I lived in a commune in Berlin, and it's a very interesting story. It won 3 finalist awards, which are up here on my wall, from indie publishing contests. And so what happened was, after I finished that, I said, gee, I've got a sort of an extension to that. And I wrote and self-published a sequel to it, which is fiction. It's pure fiction, but it's what could have happened, and maybe it's what I might want to have happened, but didn't. But anyway,
is the second one? Is it set in an era a little after the first book, or way after?
It's just after the first book. It's a continuation of the first book.
Yeah.
And
now, many of us, by the way, lived through that era. You know, the coming toward the end of Vietnam. You don't know when it's going to end. They kept saying it's going to end. You don't know if you're going to reach that draft age or if you're going to get your draft number. And so many people could relate to a story like that.
Well, yeah, no kidding. It was quite a thing. And once I got out of it, I mean, they only missed my draft number because they dropped the number down, and because the year before I would have been drafted. So
you never got drafted.
It was I didn't, but it was hairy. I mean, you just don't know, and I didn't want to go to Vietnam. No. I mean, honest to God.
Well, they say some of the scariest things that will happen to you in your life is the unknown. It's just not knowing.
That's it.
So that's what makes people go to Europe and get on a motorcycle and ride around is the uncertainty of life.
That's right. Well, anyway, so having written the second book, once again I run into the marketing problem. I mean, anybody who writes a book of any kind will tell you, without the marketing support or somehow getting it into the people's hands, you're nowhere. You've written a book and you feel good about that, and it's great, but I'd like to have a little return on my investment, which was not inconsiderable. Self-publishing is a little bit of an expense. So what did I do? I said to myself, okay, I've got almost 200,000 words here.
Over 2 books.
I'm not just going to let that sit.
Yeah.
And so I went and I used one of my favorite tools, and I go to it when I need to. I went to ChatGPT, use the AI, okay? And I asked the ChatGPT, I've published 2 novels. Can I rewrite these novels and make them a series and present them to agents and publishers.
Mm.
And the ChatGPT said, yes, legally, you certainly can if you own the rights. And it not only told me that, but it told me how I could go about doing it.
Mm. Wow.
I said, well, that's fine. So I sat down with the books. One of the things it says you should make changes and improvements. You should substantially rewrite the books. So
I'd imagine anybody who's written a book looks back and says, man, I wish I would have done something different.
Well, in getting back into the books, I found that I could have written the books better in the first place.
Yeah.
And so I did. I took about 3 or 4 months and rewrote the books, and I added to them. Each book is now 70,000, 70,000, and 60,000 words.
Nice. So you
That's
made it into
almost
three books then.
3 books.
Okay.
And this is one thing. Another thing I found out is that agents and publishers like series,
Yeah.
especially if they're already done.
Yeah.
Okay? They have something they can sell. And people like to read series. And that's why the agents and publishers like to publish them. So I am now looking for agents.
Okay.
This is one way to do it. And then this weekend I found out this is gold. You go to something called querytracker.com. I have another computer over here. And Query Tracker, if you just go to, you hit agents and you can search by genre,
Wow.
which I do. And I've got it all clicked off to commercial, upscale, upmarket, and general fiction, and it gives you a list of how many? 300 agents in that particular genre, those particular genres. If you unclick, there's like 1,800 agents. And you can also click for the USA, for the UK, for France, or whatever. I mean, this is a marvelous, marvelous program. It costs $25 a year. You talk about saving time.
Yeah. It's all there for you, all the information
It's
you need.
all there.
Yeah.
So you research now. You have to do some work. You have to click on each agent and see whether they're accepting submissions and all that sort of thing. And then you see what kind of books that agent wants, how to submit to them. And I have a spreadsheet on this computer here where if I found one, I'll put it in the spreadsheet, and then I'll get ready to make submissions. Then I took a course from the Authors Learning Center from a very good guy about how to make your submissions and 10 common querying mistakes and this sort of stuff. He sets you up very nicely with that. So I haven't gotten to writing a query letter yet because I'm finding out who the agents are and how they want their queries presented.
Some might want the whole book, some might want a synopsis. Is that what?
The most I've seen so far is they want 50 pages.
50 pages.
Most of them want like 20 pages of the first chapter or something like that. They want a synopsis of the book, a bio, and a piece of the book. That's all. And they, a lot of them. Some of them take 300 to 500 submissions per year, and they have to know how to figure out what it is they want pretty quick. So I figure they know what they're doing. So you make 5 or 6 submissions at a time, and you do it every 30 days or so, and you hope you get a hit. And you do it not just by random choice. You see which ones are the big agencies in New York and Los Angeles and Chicago, and you put them in Tier 1, and you've got Tier 2, which are other ones, smaller agencies, and then you've got Tier 3, which maybe aren't in the big cities, but you never know who's going to be interested and who's going to support you. I mean, you go to a big agency, you can get lost in the shuffle, but that's the process I'm going through right now. I figure it's going to take me 60 days at least to get that all done. But that's work and it's grind, but that's part of the process, and that's what I'm doing
Tim,
now.
you kind of remind me of me, kind of a nerd that does things systematically, uses spreadsheets for different things to keep track of things, and it's brilliant what you come upon. I've never heard an author who's, taking it like you have, step by step, and finding for $25 a year, you get that
Query tracker.
Query tracker. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrific. Well, I mean, I did go to MIT for graduate school,
Yeah.
so it's sort of baked in a little bit. I
in.
love Excel, so
Yeah.
it just
It's amazing. I've been thinking about it. You can self-publish and have 100% of the profit, which could be almost nothing, or you get a big publisher where you get 10% or something, but they're selling hundreds of thousands of books. I guess that's the consideration.
Exactly. And when I self-published, I made the mistake of going to one of the vanity presses, the Simon and Schuster's Archway, which took a lot of my money. Ouch! But they did a good job in terms of making a presentable book and everything.
Yeah.
And one of the things they did was they gave me what is known as a Hollywood review. Said whether the book, they gave me a 10-page review on whether the book was could be presented to Hollywood
Nice.
as a screenplay, as a full feature movie, full-length movie, or a streaming series. And they said it was aces. They said it was really good for this.
Yeah. Nice.
So you go to these literary agencies, and they have people in there that are that work with Hollywood and TV. The big ones do, and so you get an agent to do your book, okay, and they'll say, okay, we want to make more money off this guy, and they'll pass it over to the TV guy.
Yeah, I get that. You say, I don't like agents, whatever. The agent's going to work harder because if they get you placed, then they make the money. If they don't, they don't make any money.
I don't mind giving them 15% of $5 million. That's fine. It's better of me getting 100%, as you say, of $10. That's great.
I appreciate you sharing this because, like I say, so many of our viewers are those authors who are just chugging through the process, trying to get the book written, get it published, and they say, what do we do now? So this is, oops, let me point there. Here's an author who's doing it. He doesn't know what's going to work for sure, but he's trying this and trying this and trying this. I appreciate you telling us this story, Tim. Now, by the way, I have your web address on the screen, Destiny Publishing, LLC. What will our viewers find there? More about your books?
Yeah, it's a pretty extensive website. The people that I went to for my second book were an Indian group out of New Delhi. And these guys did a great job for me for much less money than an American would. I got a website through GoDaddy, and they just filled it up with all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's got the books in there. It's got my bio. It's got our first talk in there.
Nice.
From Central Valley Talk.
I like that.
It's on a tab. So it's got everything. So it'll give you the full scoop.
Yeah. Now our goal here is for people to see the authors, hear from the authors, and I mean, how do you pick your next book? And this is the book itself. The first one is just fascinating that you actually did this. Got on the motorcycle, rode across Europe, and also I want to point out before you lose the time, see these medallions on the book? That means it won awards. These things help me pick the next book I'm going to read, and hearing from the author and personalizing a little bit, and that helps me pick the book too. So hopefully people are going to see this and order these books. Anyway, Tim, we're way over time. I could talk to you all day. Anything else you want to share with our viewers about your books or anything in life?
No, I have a third book that's in process, starting out too. So.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate it.
Our guest is author Tim Scott, and it's exciting to hear about his journey. And we're going to have him back because I know there's going to be more on his journey. We'll be back with more Briggs on Books right after this.